Hi, I'm Anne. I met Katie at Stanford, and we're both interested in philosophy and art. So, guess I'm here.
So, thank you for being here. And I thought we'd talk a little bit about your journey as a photographer and how you got started and what your process was for that.
Yeah. So I started, and I was doing photography mostly in high school, actually. And I think it was just like the result of a lot of like luck and like being in the right place at the right time. And part of that was like, like the internet becoming a place where people could share their art through Flickr and DeviantArt. That's how I like discovered all of these like visual artists. And I think, in high school, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I would just like have like these whole wide open days during the summer, and I would have to fill them. And eventually, I think I just came to the conclusion that like, oh, all of these people are creating really cool art. Why can't I do that too? And I'm not really sure how it happened, but I think I started taking pictures where I would ask my friends to model for me. And a lot of these like were very like conceptual-ish shoots. So I definitely, there were like props like mirrors, and like I was trying to like be like really cool and edgy, like some like concept of identity or whatever. It was like really dumb, but I don't know. I didn't
You
judge
were in
myself.
high school.
I, oh, I didn't. Okay, I sound like I'm criticizing myself, but I think looking back, I realized that I didn't really care like whether it was cool or not.
Hmm.
And I think I just like posted it on Flickr, posted it online anyway. Like there was no like level of like self-censorship, which was kind of really good for that. And I really didn't expect anything of it at all, like at all. But I definitely just kept on doing it because it was quite addicting. I remember spending like a year and a half only shooting on like film, on 35 millimeter film, and I would get it developed at CVS or Walgreens. And um, I think like that was like, I feel like there's some of those pictures I took during my film phase that are floating around online still. And I think that was like probably the most like artistically like authentic era of my photography, because there was no one, I wasn't really, because later on I kind of partnered with modeling agencies, and I would do shoots for new models who are building their portfolios. I would also like collaborate with makeup artists and stylists. So I think there's a lot more pressure to like produce things that were like, like that everyone, that had a common vision that everyone could use. So I think definitely a lot of like my weirder art like existed in that period of time. I felt like I was just getting started and was more free. So I don't know. I think that's kind of how I started. I eventually felt like I wanted to get paid, like get more exposure, get access to more resources, which is why I approached modeling agencies to do like partnerships kind of. So, and then I actually think that was like really, really cool for me because, and I credit like the internet for like giving me exposure, but I think like kind of making that jump from, oh, I'm just going to do everything by myself, to like, oh, I'm going to find like the institutional support or whatever, to take it to the next step. I think that leap plus the internet like really helped like make photography like a huge thing for me.
And that's crazy. Like to have that kind of confidence as a young person, excuse me, as like a young woman also, is just kind of mind-boggling to me. Like I can't imagine high school Katie like approaching a real company and being like, I want to work with you. Like that's what kind of led you to like even doing that?
Thanks. I don't even know. I think that I'm just very impulsive. Honestly, I think that like there are like moments of just like where I can be just really like uninhibited by any like self-judgment, and I'm just like, literally, what is the logical thing for me to do? And I feel like if I can exist in that state where I feel like really free and like considering what my next step is based on like who I am really and what my principles are and what should be done, and where I'm not thinking about like everything else, I think like just making like those decisions in that like state of being. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a fair transition into what you're doing now. And you're kind of, you've been through like a million transitions in terms of like what you want to do. And I feel like every time we talk, we're like talking about a different subject that you're interested in and I'm interested in. And I totally relate to that as someone who is jumping from like law school to art school to like all sorts of things. So do you want to talk a bit about what you're interested in now?
Yeah, well, I won't talk too much about it because I don't want to jinx anything. But I'm definitely interested in, so I did a computer science master's most recently, and I've been thinking for a while about going into academia, doing a PhD, um, because I really love the idealism
Mhm.
that exists in academia. I love how like visionary people are. Like when I was in high school, like I spent so much of my free time watching Star Trek, like the original series, Next Generation. And I think the Star Trek like world, like and mythos just really influenced me because it's like this society that has evolved past racism, evolved past war, evolved past sexism, and everyone's kind of on this mission. They're like everyone's on this starship, but they're also like beings from like different alien species working together towards this unified mission to explore the universe. I think that's awesome. And like, I think that was implanted very deeply into me in high school. So I think like that's where this like desire to like contribute to science and contribute to all these like progressive goals comes from. And I definitely think that like pursuing some type of research in computer science, as it's like so important now in like the modern political economy,
Right.
like I think that's like what I need to do right now.
Oh my God.
I just
That's
want to teach
so
myself now.
amazing. No, but I think that's so amazing. And I think you telling like us where that came from and like your influences and your philosophical ideals behind it is really important. And I think it goes back to something that we had been talking about before, which is to also be like a woman and be in those kind of tech spaces and kind of challenge a lot of societal norms. That's like one of the first steps towards creating that kind of equality, that kind of sexual, racial equality. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important, and I think it's amazing, and I'm so proud of you for just like doing it, just just like getting out there. Is there in the last few minutes we have, is there a particular kind of project that you're most interested in working on?
I feel okay, I'm gonna like say it like more vaguely. Um, but I think like I was thinking about this a lot because you know I have to think about this writing my statement of purpose and stuff. But I was really conflicted because I'd explored so many topics in
Right.
computer science, and but like there was also this part of me that you know that's like super interested in philosophy and ethics, and I think like we kind of like relate on that level. And so I think like the projects that I'm interested in going forward are gonna kind of synthesize like the humanities part of me and
Right.
with also like the math and theory and computer science part of me. So
Ah,
that's like
that's
what
so
I'm
cool. I love that. And I honestly think some of the more interesting projects are the ones that have like ethical or humanist components to them. And that's obviously a bias I hold because I'm part of the 1% of people at Stanford who didn't take a CS class. So
wow.
I know it's
How
terrible.
did you manage?
I started doing like CS for like physics research and I was just so unhappy that I was like I just need to be painting more, and then that ended. Now I'm in art school. But
Which I think is awesome. I think it's awesome that you listened to your inner voice and acted on it.
yeah, and that's exactly what you're doing too, and you just found this other like really incredible direction, and I'm just like very excited to see everything you end up doing.
Oh, thanks. I'm excited for you too.
Ah, thanks.